Today, what we're going to do is write a program in Raptor. This is video 2 in the series. The first video detailed what the program should do. It is the program out of the test out material, section 8.2, page 11. If you're not familiar on what the program should do or unsure, please watch that first video. All right, so I'm assuming you've installed Raptor. You might forget where you installed it to. So we're going to go down to Microsoft Search, search for Raptor. Here I find my Raptor app and I start up Raptor. And it's a single click, not a double click. Keep messing that up. Let me adjust my screen a little bit. Close the extra Raptor. Move the output screen. Clear the output screen. Now we are ready to start programming. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save the file. And I am just going to call it what? One day I'll teach you guys about metasyntactic variables, using that to generate file names, but not today. All right, so here Raptor gives us a very simple program. It starts, it ends. It does nothing. To insert statements, we go over here to the left and we look at what kind of statement we want to insert. It gives us a choice between 6 choices. We can assign a symbol, make a variable equal to something. We can have a call. There could be, say, a math function we want to use, and we would call that math function. We're not going to use a call in this episode of Raptor. I can input a variable, read a variable. I can output a variable, print the output to the output screen. I can do an if test, or I can do a loop. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do an output. And I'm just going to make a placeholder. And here the output's going to say, now I double clicked on the box to get this dialog. And I'm just going to say something simple, like we would count to 10 here. Okay. Program's simple. I've made a change to the program, so I'm going to save it. I'm going to run the program. Execute to completion. Okay, and I printed out we would count to 10 here. Believe it or not, we're about a third of the way done. We notice that it does give us the output and it does tell us that we evaluated 3 symbols, the start, the put, and the end. Cool. Now, as we remember from the first video, we have to ask the user, does he or she want to continue counting to 10? Counted to 10 once, and we're going to ask him, does he want to do it again? For that, we're going to need a loop. So I click on loop, and I insert a loop here. Now, inside the loop, we are going to do the count for 10. So let me move that here. And now what we have to do is decide what we're going to loop on, what condition. We notice that if the condition is true, which is called the yes branch, if the condition is true, we end. If the condition is false, the no branch, we loop again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prompt, use the input box, double click on the input box, and give a prompt and says, enter yes to count to 10 again. Simple prompt. And the variable that we're going to read is going to be something like try again. Okay, done with that. And we see it says, I'm going to put out this prompt. I'm going to get the variable try again. Well, now if the user says yes, we want to continue. And that means we want the statement to be false. So we're going to test, does try again, and notice how it auto-completes the variable's name. This is good so you don't make mistakes in typing. We're going to test if try again is not equal to yes. Okay, let's look at the logic. If the user enters yes, try again not will not equal yes will be false because it does equal yes. I'll say that again. If the user enters yes, this statement right here is going to be false because it says we want try again to be something other than yes. But here it is yes, so the not equal is false, which means we go to the no branch and we loop again. Okay. Um, what if the user entered yes with a capital Y? Well, we want to test that too. Notice an and statement. Both conditions must be true to continue. If or to go to the no state, both conditions must be false to continue. Sorry about that slip. Yeah. Let's test it. Well, let's first save it. And now let's test it. And let's execute to completion. Okay, there's the count to 10, and there's the prompt. Do I want to count to 10? Yes, I will. And we see that to hit this statement was false because try again did equal yes. So we went back up to the no and we did a loop. And here we are in the loop asking for the value of try again another time. We'll hit yes. Check the capital. Okay, it took it back through the loop and put out, we would count to 10 here again. So that part's working. Let's put no. And it says no. Okay, try again is no. No not equal to yes. That's true. So we do this yes branch. I'd be happier if they called that the true branch. The yes branch. And we end, as we see here. All right, notice it says 9 symbols completed. That's because we did the loop multiple times. And each time we evaluated 3 symbols, I think is the way it will go. Yep. Okay, let's clear that. So we got our outer loop working. We can test whether the user wants to count to 10 again or not. Well, if we look at the problem statement, every time we count to 10, we have to start with count is equal to 0. The other thing is we actually have to loop. So let's put another loop in here. And this is where we're going to do the actual counting to 10. All right, like I said, every time that I count to 10, every time I start, I have to set the variable count equal to 0. So let's bring in an assignment here. Double click, and we're going to set the variable count is equal to 0. File, save, because we haven't saved it a little bit. And we're supposed to print out the value of 0. So let's go to the output and print, just like the example they have here, number of coins plus coins. What we do is we put in quotes, the value of count is, I'll put a space there, plus we want to see the value of count. Again, it does completion. I'll double click on the completion so I don't misspell something. And this is going to put out the string, and we have to put the string in quotes. That's why I got the double quotes. The value of count is, and then the value of count. All right, we're like 4/5 done. Every time we loop, we're going to set count equals 0. We're going to put out the value of count. Well, what do we do inside the loop? Well, we don't do this printout. So let's get rid of it. I did a right mouse click, and I'm going to delete it. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to ask the user to press any key to continue. So I need an input. So drag and drop an input to here, double click, and the prompt will say, again, prompt's got to be in quotes, please enter any key to continue. And we're going to use a slightly humorous variable name. We're going to type it any key. Okay, so what's going to happen? The user is going to start the program. We're going to set count equal to 0. We're going to put the value of count out, which will be 0. And then we go into the loop where we start counting to 10. The first thing we do in the loop counting to 10 is ask the user, him or her, to press a key to continue. Then what we're going to do is we need an assignment. So I click on the box here, click assignment, double click on assignment, and we're going to increment the value of count. We're going to say count equals count plus 1, adding 1 to it. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to display the value of count. Now here would be a nifty way where we would use functions, because I'm printing out count twice and I'm repeating myself. Unfortunately, this version of Raptor that we're using doesn't allow us to define functions. So I'm going to copy and paste. Let me get rid of this. Let me go up here, select it, copy it, go down here, and paste. So we're putting out the value of count and the value of count. We're printing out the value of count is and the value of count. When you cut and paste, that's a good place for a function. We'll see that in the next video. All right, we're almost done. We just have to say the inner loop, when do we continue? Well, remember, the condition must be false to continue. So what we're going to do is we're going to test, just like the book told us to do, we're going to test that count is greater than or equal to 10. So when count equals 10, this condition will equal yes, will equal true, and we'll fall down to the part where we say, do we want to count to 10 again, entering that prompt. When count is less than 0, this statement will be less than 10, less than 10. This statement will be false. We'll go to the no branch and we keep counting. Let's save this because I think we're done. Now, before you run the program, you should desk check it. You should run through the program in your head and make sure that it's going to work. Okay, so before we do any counting to 10, we print out the value of count is equal to 0. When we enter the loop, we ask him to press any key to continue. If he presses the any key, he's going to say count equals count plus 1, or the program will increment count, and then it'll print out the new value of count. That is going to test if count is less than or equal to count, greater than or equal to 10. And if it is not greater or equal to 10, I do the loop again. So when count is 1, I go back and do it again and make count 2, and then make count 3. And eventually what will happen is count equals 10, and this statement will be true. And like I said, we'll exit out to the part we ask them, does he want to try again? All right. We already tested the code about does he want to try again and found that the yes, and no all work. So this program should work. Let's just got to ask yourself, do you feel lucky? Let's see if we wrote a program that works. We're going to execute to completion. And we see it printed out count is equal to 0. So we did these two statements here. We're hit inside the loop and we get to this statement in green. Please enter any key to continue. All right, I'm just going to say done. And what does it do? It goes down. It asks, is count greater than or equal to 10? No, it's not. So we go back up to the loop and we ask again, printing out the value that count equals 1. And we're going to keep doing this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, if everything worked, we should see a prompt, do we want to count to 10 again? So it prints out the value of count is 10, which it was supposed to do. And now we get to our prompt, do we want to count to 10 again? Let's say yes, just to make sure it works. Okay, we go back in the loop. Count is back to 0. Let me cue the screen. I hit any key. Count is 1. Count is 2. Count is 3. Count is 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Now it's back to the prompt, enter yes to count again. I don't want to do it again. I'm going to try an option that we didn't try before. I'm going to enter nothing and see what happens. What should happen is the program should end. And yes, indeed, it did end. All right. So this program is working as specified. Can we do some things to make it fancier? We could, but that would be probably needless complexity. The other thing is if you're being very astute, you might notice that count will never be greater than 10, because as soon as I hit 10, uh, the loop will end. So we could change this to count equals 10, because that's when we want to break out of the inner loop. But the book uses a greater than or equals than sign, so we're going to do that too. All right. This is the second and the third videos. Hopefully you've watched the first, and I would like to encourage you to watch the third video. The third video is translating this program into a higher level language. If I go to generate, it would generate these languages. But a student asked me to write the program in Python. So I wrote the program in Python, and the next video will go through that. I encourage you, even if you don't want to learn Python, to look at that video because it is going to use a function. So you will see another example of declaring and using a function. Functions will be tested on the final, so it couldn't hurt to see it again once before the final. Well, thank you for your time. I hope you learned from this video.